Alright, so today I'll be going through this Leetcode problem of merge strings alternately, and I'll be going through two solutions, one that I created in C, and another that I got help in using ChatGPT and Python in order to get myself a stronger understanding of Python syntax. Um, Alright, so to begin, let me take a look at my submissions, and let's go over here to, is this one in C? This one's in Python, into my C submission. So here is a little description of the problem. Essentially, you're given two strings, word 1 and word 2. Merge the strings by adding letters in alternating order, starting with word 1. If a string is longer than the other, append the additional letters onto the end of the merged string. Return the merged string. And so basically what you're doing with this is that you're having two strings, and you're just going to add you're going to add one by one, a letter by letter. So you're going to go, for example, for this first string, A, P, B, Q, C, and then R, as it gives you right here. But you need to note that if you have a string that's shorter, once you reach the end of the shortest string, all you have to do is add the rest of the characters. So in this case, we had A, P, B, Q, and then we just added R and S. And so I'll walk you through my solution and my thought process. I have some comments right here, which kind of will let you know, but it would be a lot easier if I just talked about it. And so one thing to note is that with the C solution, it is going to be a little bit longer, but I do feel like it gives you kind of a good understanding of what's going on, and it's just good practice. So firstly, I made a character string pointer, and I called it string 1, a character pointer, and I called it string 2. And later on, I'll use these two to denote which of the two strings of word 1 and word 2 are, I forgot to mention, our input parameters are bigger or smaller. So first, I compared the string length of a word 1, and I compared the string length of word 1 to word 2. And like I said before, string 1 gets the longer string, and string 2 would get the shorter string. And so that's basically what this if and else statement is doing. After that, I created a couple variables, that being a tracker, an index, a length 1, it's supposed to be length 1, a length 2, and a total length. And then I set my length, my initial length, equal to the string length of the longer string. Length 2 is string length of the shorter string. And my total length is going to be the two lengths added together. I then created a new string pointer, and I allocated enough space to hold the total amount of characters with an additional one for the terminating character, as you would need in C. So what I did is I wanted to loop through but I wanted to make sure that I was indexing in relativity to the shortest string. So that's basically what I did here, and why I used the shortest string as my bounds for this loop. So I started with the new string, and I said that the new string at the tracker, which is starting from 0, if you can remember, is going to be set to word 1 at the first index being 0. Tracker moves along, giving you the next space in the new string, and then you then set that next space equal to the first index of word 2, and this continues on. And this is just a statement just to ensure that things don't go over, because originally I had a buffer overflow, and I'll talk about that a little later. And so then I end up adding the rest of the characters of whatever string was longer, which is why I wanted to start from J being whatever I left off of, which is why I set J equal to I. So that way we can loop through the remaining characters of whatever string was longer. And then J would of course index. Then I use tracker also leaving off at the next available space in a new string. And then I set that equal to string 1 being the longer string, as we figured out before, at the next space, and we index. Now, an important thing to note, and this is specifically with C or any lower level programming language, is that I need to ensure that I added my terminating character. The terminating character in this case is what I missed and what gave me a buffer overflow, but by adding it, everything was straight. And then I return the new string. And so that's my C solution. And now for the ChatGPT Python solution that I was looking at. So in my submissions. Now the Python solution is very similar, but of course it's a little bit more efficient. Here are some notes I took when I was trying to understand what was going on. Essentially, it's the same thing, but a key thing to note is that I have this while loop which takes care of figuring out which string is smaller by not doing that at all. All you do is say that while you haven't reached the end of either string, meaning that this loop would break whenever you reach the end of the smaller string, and kind of takes care of that. You add and append the characters as before, and then this interesting part right here, where you start at the end of either string. You start using the index that you left off of here, so you can iterate through the end of each string and basically add it to result. And in doing so, if it stops at the end, if I, for example, were to start at the end of its string, then you wouldn't have to worry. And then if J didn't start at the end of its string, you would get the last couple of characters, and then you just join them, and then you return that result. So yeah.